From Vegas tiger attacks to climate catastrophes,
It'll burn oil, gas, wood, or coal.
these cartoons tried to warn us, but we weren't listening. Now, the laughs have turned to chills because the impossible turned out to be true. Sometimes cartoons show us things that seem impossible, but what happens when the impossible actually comes true? This one feels less like a joke and more like a warning we ignored. Back in 1993, The Simpsons aired an episode where Mr. Burns opens a fancy casino. And for entertainment, they bring in two flashy magicians with German accents, matching outfits, and yes, a white tiger. It's clearly a parody of Siegfried and Roy, the real-life Vegas duo known for their wild tiger shows.
That's right. Yes, and Frank Sinatra starting this Friday for 3 weeks.
In the episode, things go from glam to glory real fast. The tiger suddenly snaps and attacks one of the performers right on stage. The crowd screams, chaos breaks out. Classic Simpson dark humor, right? But fast forward to October 2003, and it actually happened. During a live show in Las Vegas, Roy Horn was attacked by their white tiger, Manticore. The tiger bit into Roy's neck and dragged him across the stage in front of a stunned audience. It wasn't part of the act. Roy barely survived, and the attack ended their iconic show for good. Now, The Simpsons didn't predict the date or the exact tiger, but let's be real, the setup was spot on. Two famous performers, a white tiger, a packed show, and then an onstage attack. It was like the writers had a crystal ball with fur on it. After 2003, that scene didn't feel so funny anymore. It felt prophetic. Back in the 1990s, one cartoon was trying to save the world. Most people thought it was just a kid's show, but it was actually a warning. Before climate change was something we saw in the news every single week, Captain Planet and the Planeteers was already warning us. This cartoon aired from 1990 to 1996, and while it looked like a fun superhero show for kids, it was packed with serious messages about the planet.
Gasoline.
Fuel for my smog-spewing barge. Part car, part power plant.
Every episode showed the damage caused by pollution, deforestation, and careless human actions. The villains had names like Hoggish Greedly and Loot and Plunder, and they were all about destroying nature for money. One episode called Greenhouse Planet focused on global warming. It showed how greenhouse gases trap heat, raise temperatures, melt ice caps, and mess up the weather. At the time, most people didn't really talk about this stuff. Climate change wasn't a buzzword yet. But Captain Planet was already spelling it out, loud and clear.
I took the liberty of refueling your rocket. The mileage isn't great, but the pickup's out of this world.
No, don't go to sleep. You need fresh air, and fast. Rising seas will take a bite out of the Big Apple. As for Hong Kong...
Then, in the 2000s, things started getting very real. In 2003, Europe faced a terrible heat wave that killed tens of thousands of people. By 2007, NASA was reporting fast Arctic ice melt. Carbon dioxide levels kept rising every year. Wildfires, floods, and stronger storms became more common. Suddenly, the cartoon didn't feel so exaggerated anymore. It felt like it saw the future. Back in the 90s, a lot of adults laughed at Captain Planet. They called it cheesy or too dramatic. But looking back, the show was ahead of its time. It explained climate science in a way kids could get. It showed that everyone could help, from planting trees to recycling or speaking up about the environment. And that famous line, "The power is yours," it wasn't simply a cool ending, it was a message. The show was telling us that we actually had the power to protect the Earth. That small actions matter, that change starts with us. Now, years later, the world is dealing with the very problems Captain Planet warned us about. The sea is rising, the planet is heating up, and weather disasters keep coming. Maybe we should have listened more closely. What if changing our genes could make us dangerous? One cartoon showed us why playing with DNA might be a bad idea. Way before people started freaking out over CRISPR and GMOs, Spider-Man, the animated series, was already shouting a warning. Messing with genes can get real messy. This classic show ran from 1994 to 1998, and while most people remember it for cool web slinging and big bad villains, it was also sneaking in some seriously smart takes on science gone wrong. Norman Osborn wanted to boost his strength using an experimental serum. Great idea, right? Except it didn't only make him strong, but it made him dangerous, unpredictable, and totally unhinged. He turned into a superpowered threat with no control over himself. Instant chaos.
We've already been at this 18 hours straight.
We'll go another 18 if we have to. We've got to perfect this formula.
You haven't secured the airlocks.
Then there's another episode. In season 2, this guy tries to cure a rare blood disorder by mixing in vampire bat DNA, and surprise, it didn't go well. He ends up becoming a full-on mutant vampire who feeds on plasma. Classic case of science backfiring hard.
Are you my dangerous friend? You know weaknesses of mine of which I am not aware. I am immortal! I have no desire to be turned back into a...
These episodes deliver drama and a warning. Just because we can mess with genetics doesn't mean we should. Jump to the early 2000s, and that cartoon message started sounding a lot like real life. Scientists were experimenting with CRISPR, a powerful gene editing tool. It brought hope for curing diseases, but also fear about designer babies and unintended side effects. People were split. Was this the future or a disaster waiting to happen? And then came 2003, when South Korean scientists claimed they cloned a human embryo. Huge headlines, huge controversy, and in the end, the study turned out to be fake and the backlash was massive. But it raised real questions about how far we should go with genetic research. With great science comes great responsibility. 4 turtles became heroes because of toxic waste in the sewers. Their story wasn't just about fighting bad guys, it was about fighting pollution. When people think of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they think pizza, sewers, and cool ninja moves, but the 1987 cartoon also had something bigger going on. It warned us about pollution, and not in a subtle way. Right in the very first episode, the turtles become mutants because of toxic ooze dumped in the sewer. That glowing green slime turns 4 baby turtles and a rat into walking, talking heroes. But let's be honest, mutating animals with sewer sludge isn't normal. The show was clearly saying, hey, pollution is dangerous.
Come on, you think those punks should just leave evidence lying around?
This episode makes one thing clear. Pollution can be just as dangerous as any villain. When toxic waste seeps into the sewers, it starts damaging the turtles' home and threatens the entire city. It's gross, it's risky, and all because of human carelessness. The episode doesn't hold back. Treat the planet like trash, and it's going to push back hard. Like other episodes in the series, pollution isn't simply a problem. It becomes a full-blown threat.
Great jumping jellyfish! The entire street is flooded!
Something strange is going on, and I'm going to find out what it is.
Donatello had better get back here with the turtle van, and fast! Ahoy, mateys!
Now let's jump to real life. In the 1990s, people were still dealing with the effects of the Love Canal disaster in New York. A neighborhood was built over toxic waste, and families living there got sick. Some kids were born with serious health problems. It was a real-life horror story. Then came the Flint water crisis in 2014. People in Flint, Michigan were drinking water full of lead. It took months for the truth to come out. The damage was already done. Kids and families suffered, all because no one took action in time. The turtles may have been fighting cartoon monsters, but the problems they showed were very real. So next time you rewatch those old TMNT episodes, remember, they were not only about pizza, they were about protecting our world. Because if we don't, we may end up needing real ninjas to save us. What happens when people become too scared to speak freely? One cartoon episode tried to warn us, then got censored itself. The show hit a nerve so big, it got censored while warning us about censorship. The episode tackled the controversy around showing the Prophet Muhammad on TV. The creators, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, didn't even show him directly. Instead, they blurred him out and added censor bars even to the speech about censorship itself. The message was loud. When people are too scared to speak freely, everyone loses.
Kenny, dude, what the hell? You're supposed to be watching Muhammad.
It was a big moment. This wasn't some throwaway edgy joke. It was the show saying, look, if we're too afraid to talk about certain things, free speech is in danger. They weren't trying to insult anyone, they were pointing out that fear was silencing open conversation. Now, here's when things got even more real. In 2015, 5 years after the episode aired, the world watched in shock as gunmen attacked the office of Charlie Hebdo, a French magazine known for its controversial cartoons of Muhammad. 12 people were killed. The attack wasn't just on a building, it was on free expression. The kind of thing South Park warned about had now turned deadly. Social media platforms began struggling with content moderation. What counts as free speech? What's hate speech? Should platforms ban harmful ideas or let people say what they want? From Twitter to Facebook, YouTube to TikTok, everyone had a different answer. But one thing was clear, the line between protecting feelings and silencing opinions was getting blurry. The episode was quickly pulled and never aired again in full, but its message stuck. Because when a cartoon about foul-mouthed kids is brave enough to defend free speech and then gets silenced itself, it says a lot about where the world is headed. And maybe, just maybe, South Park was trying to save free speech one censored beep at a time. College is supposed to help people get better jobs, but what if it just leaves them broke and confused? The Simpsons might be known for donuts, doughs, and ridiculous antics, but every now and then it drops a truth bomb that hits way too hard. One perfect example is this episode from all the way back in 1993, where it weirdly predicted one of America's biggest problems, student debt and the flaws in higher education. The episode starts with Homer being told he needs a college degree to keep his job at the nuclear plant. So, of course, he goes back to school.
Now my bottom's big!
Homer, this is an exact replica of your workstation.
For the love of God, sir, there are 2 seats.
But instead of hitting the books, he expects college life to be like an 80s movie, full of frat houses, pranks, and nerds to bully. Homer's cluelessness is hilarious, but underneath the jokes, the show makes a strong point. College doesn't always prepare people for the real world, especially when people are just going through the motions to check a box.
That dog had somebody's ham. This I gotta see.
Your bra bomb better work, nerdlinger.
The professors are stuffy, the system is outdated, and Homer ends up learning more from messing around than from the actual classes. That's the joke. But also, that's the warning.
Good morning and welcome to Nuclear Physics 101. I see a lot of new faces, but oops.
Did you see that jerk?
Fast forward to the 2010s, and the warning becomes very real. More and more people were told they had to go to college to succeed, but college had become way more expensive than in Homer's day. According to the Federal Reserve, US student loan debt hit a massive $1.7 trillion by 2021. That's not a typo, that's 12 zeros. Students were graduating with huge loans, sometimes 6 figures, and many still couldn't find jobs in their field. Or worse, they found out the degree didn't actually teach them the skills employers wanted. Suddenly, Homer's silly little episode didn't seem so silly. It showed us what happens when education becomes a system that's out of touch. It warned that chasing degrees just for the paper, not the knowledge, could lead people into debt with little to show for it. And it poked fun at schools that act more like fancy clubs than places to really learn. So yeah, The Simpsons made us laugh, but this time, it also saw the debt storm coming way before the rest of us did. And honestly, that's kind of genius. Sometimes we laugh at warnings that turn out to be too real. One cartoon made fun of climate change, then had to say sorry. When South Park introduced Man Bear Pig, it was pure satire. The creature, half man, half bear, half pig, was basically a cartoon version of climate change, and the one warning everyone about it? Al Gore, who in the episode is loud, dramatic, and desperate to be taken seriously. The joke? That he's just making it up, a guy crying wolf.
And maybe the end to the human race as we know it. I'm talking, of course, about Man-Bear-Pig.
Man-Bear-Pig?
At the time, this episode was South Park doing what it does best, mocking public panic, media hype, and political figures. The message seemed clear: climate change is overblown, and people like Gore are just looking for attention. Man-Bear-Pig wasn't real, the danger was fake. End of story, right?
Yeah, that's Cave of the Winds. It's a tourist attraction.
Oh, Jesus, on ice skates. We've got to get down there right away.
I don't think so, dude. What are you doing? Oh, no!
Well, not quite. Fast forward 12 years to 2018. In the episode Time to Get Cereal, South Park brings back Man-Bear-Pig. But this time, it's not a joke. It's terrifying. It's real, and it's destroying everything in sight.
All right, we have some dead cows down at Milner's Ranch.
Suddenly, Stan and the boys admit something shocking. They were wrong. In one of the most self-aware moments in the show's history, South Park basically says, yeah, we made fun of climate change before, but we messed up. Man-Bear-Pig becomes a stand-in for climate change again, but this time, the warning is serious. People ignored it for too long, and now it's too big to stop.
Stacy Nakabe says he just wanted to run back out and get his foot bow.
That's a fucking crazy, dude. And there were bear prints in the snow?
It wasn't a bear. Everyone says that kid and I look alike. What if that thing is after me? Dude, now you're just overreacting.
Attention, please. Will the following students report to the principal's office?
And honestly, that shift reflects real life. By the late 2010s, climate change was no longer just a debate. It was visible. In 2017, hurricanes like Harvey, Irma, and Maria caused massive destruction. In 2020, wildfires tore through California and Australia. Entire towns were wiped out, air turned to smoke. People started realizing this is happening. More people began to accept what scientists had been saying for years. Climate change wasn't some future problem. It was already here, and the longer we ignored it, the worse it got. It showed the dangers of mocking something before understanding it. The Man-Bear-Pig storyline became a warning. When you laugh off serious issues, the joke might come back to bite you. What would life look like in the future? One cartoon episode from 1995 got scary good at guessing what was coming. When The Simpsons aired Lisa's wedding back in 1995, it was just a fun peek into the future. The episode shows Lisa as a grown-up visiting a fortune teller who reveals what her life will be like in 2010. There are robot librarians, flying cars, and lots of funny future jokes. But here's the twist, some of it actually came true.
Now we'll see what the future holds.
The death card?
No, that's good. It means transition, change.
In this imagined future, Lisa's fiancé talks into a smartwatch. At the time, it looked like something out of Star Trek, but by 2015, the Apple Watch hit stores, and suddenly, talking to your wrist was normal. Smartwatches became everywhere. People used them to call, text, check their heart rate, even pay for stuff. What once seemed like a joke became just another part of everyday life.
Watch it!
First they hate each other, now all of a sudden they love each other. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Another scene shows video calling with Lisa talking to her mom, Marge, on a screen. Again, in 1995, that seemed super futuristic, but by the 2010s, FaceTime, Skype, and eventually Zoom made video calls easy and common. And when the pandemic hit in 2020, video calling wasn't just convenient, it became a lifeline. Families, schools, and entire companies stayed connected through screens, just like in the episode.
And botulism is called steak and kidney pie. Guess what? You and I are getting married! All right! Lisa, that's wonderful!
To wear those things.
But Lisa's wedding wasn't just showing cool tech, it was also hinting at something deeper, our growing reliance on technology and how it could take over parts of our lives. In Lisa's future world, technology is everywhere. Everything is fast, smart, and connected. Sounds great, right? But it also raises quiet questions. Are we giving up too much privacy? Are we too dependent on screens? Those questions hit hard in the real 2010s. In 2018, the Cambridge Analytica scandal revealed that Facebook had let personal data be used to influence elections. Suddenly, people started asking what tech companies really knew about them. The fear wasn't just about ads anymore, it was about surveillance, data tracking, and manipulation. So, while Lisa's wedding looked like a fun future fantasy, it ended up being weirdly spot on. It predicted the gadgets we now wear on our wrists and the screens we now talk through daily. But more importantly, it gave an early warning, one we're still trying to figure out today. The Simpsons did it again. They made us laugh while quietly calling out the future. Turns out, those Saturday morning cartoons were a lot smarter than we thought. They saw the warning signs, sometimes years before the rest of us did. So next time you're watching your favorite animated show, pay attention. Want more cartoon predictions that came true? Subscribe and stick around. Also, watch this next video on your screen right now. You'll love it.